It is an awesome pleasure to be here with you today. I always get encouraged when I get the opportunity to prepare something and to share it with you. And this is one of those messages where I have probably sat down to think about what I was going to talk about today several times. Decided about 1 o'clock this morning that I should actually probably change a few things. So look, if anything doesn't make sense, it is my 1 a.m. brain, and that is going to be my disclaimer. My other disclaimer is that everything that I am going to say today is what I believe to be true today, and I always reserve the right to change my mind. And I encourage anyone here to help me change my mind, and that we can continue to strengthen and come into a knowledge of the truth. Even some of the things that I'm going to say today, I did not believe or see 2 weeks ago. So that's how exciting the journey is. This being my 47th Feast of Trumpets. And trying to come up with something new and fresh is not always easy to do, so I've just come up with something totally and completely at random today. And one of the things that I do like to do is I like to kind of have a continuing theme going throughout all of my messages. And you might recall the last time that we spoke on the seventh day of unleavened bread, we talked about how the enemy attacks the people of Yah, in particular Torah believers. And I kind of want to continue on from that point as a starting point today by saying that all the enemy really has to do in a Torah-keeping community is to get us talking about each other rather than to each other. And that probably has become more and more true for me in the last, 6 months. And it's really, really interesting how so many things just crop up, and before you know it, you hear this little rumor here and that little rumor there, and before you realize what's going on, you're believing something that's totally inaccurate about fellow believers. So how does Hasatan ruin the end-time work of Yah? All he has to do is get Torah believers talking about each other rather than to each other. I was part of a pretty large Torah-keeping community that split up about 25 years ago. 150,000 members all around the world. And it was a massive work of Yah. And yeah, they had some things wrong, but we all do. And one of the things that's been on my heart for the last 25 years, and one of the things that I think the Father's really impressed upon me, is that vital importance that in the end time, we're going to all need each other. And not just the people in this room, we're going to need all the other believers of Yah and the Torah believers all around the world to fellowship with and to encourage and to uphold and to build up rather than tear each other down. And let's face it, we've got some differences, and that's okay. Because, like I said, some of the things I believe today is not what I believed 2 weeks ago. And that's exciting. So I want to do a little experiment. I've never actually done this before, but I told my wife a little story this morning. We're going to do a little whisper challenge. I don't think she's probably remembered all the details already, but I might just get her to maybe go to the back and tell Michael, and we'll just go around the room. And when it comes back around to my wife, she's not allowed to reintroduce the true story. And we'll just see what the story is by the time we get through the entire room. So I want to ask a question, and it might be a little bit of a bizarre question you think when you talk about trumpets, but I promise you I'll bring it all together in the end. So feel free to just share this around the room. Yeah. I don't want to stay here for 10 minutes standing twiddling my thumbs. Okay, so the question is, why is it that we gossip? It's a really, really interesting thing if you try and Google it, because scientists will tell you how good gossip is for the humankind. Dead set. So why is it that we gossip? Let's start with the negative. Maybe someone's wronged us and we want them to pay. So let's start a rumor about them. So that's more of a malicious approach, but One of the other things that it says is that it can give us a sense of superiority. Because when we're gossiping, we know a secret that somebody else doesn't know. So that gives us a sense of being superior to others, which is an inbuilt fleshly desire that we have. So scientists have actually discovered that when you gossip, it releases happy chemicals like serotonin, which I found really, really interesting. But when you think about it, if you know a secret and you're getting to share that secret, it makes you feel kind of good. Scientists have actually proven that by gossiping, it will reduce stress and anxiety. So I would actually put forth that if you're someone that's easily stressed or someone who's easily anxious about things, you're probably a little bit more prone to want to gossip because it will actually relieve that. It helps us to reinforce our worldview. And that probably is a really, really fascinating thing when you think about what's happened the last couple of years around the world. How everyone's got a different worldview and a different viewpoint and thoughts. And yeah, gossip was just going rife through the world. And it also helps us to identify who our inner circle of trust is. So that might sound a little bit off that I'm actually sharing all of this with you, but I promise you I've got a point. Some psychologists actually believe that it provides us with a vital social information that's required to successfully navigate our lives. It's really interesting when you Google gossip and they say, oh, gossip is good. So, well, let's define what is actually gossip. Basically, gossip is being defined as talking about somebody who's not present. That's all it is. I can't wait to hear what the story is by the end. It's estimated that 80% of our conversations today are based off of information that's unconfirmed. Have you ever heard of fact-checking on social media? 80% of what we hear and what we repeat is actually never been confirmed by anyone. And I find that really, really a fascinating statistic. So this is all the studies. Again, this is just averages. The average adult spends 52 minutes per day gossiping. So keep in mind, gossip in this definition is just talking about other people who aren't there. So what they've found is that 3/4 of that was actually spent talking about people in kind of a neutral sense. You weren't saying anything bad or, hey, she's not allowed to hear the new story. Stop. You're not allowed to hear the new story. No.
You just said she's not allowed to change the story.
No, that's cheating. So 3/4 of that time is talking about people in a neutral sense, not positive or negative. Actually, 9% of that time was spent speaking and gossiping about others in a positive sense. So is gossip good if you're speaking about them in a positive sense? But 15% of the time, it was speaking about it in a negative sense. And that's also a worry. So the question I want to ask is, are we as Torah believers more susceptible to gossip? What do you think? Are we more or less susceptible as Torah believers to gossip than those in the world? I would actually suggest that we're probably a little bit more. Many Torah believers, we do suffer from pride. I mean, you think about it, we know something that others don't. Now, we can be humbled by that, or we can be a little bit prideful about that. And probably deep down, we all struggle with a little bit of pride, some of us more than others. I know I do. Many Torah believers suffer from what I like to call guilt and condemnation. So we know that we want to be obedient to Yah, and when we mess up, we feel guilt and condemnation. And that actually has an inner human fleshly desire for us to want to point the finger at others so that we feel better about ourselves. That's just a natural tendency of who and what we are, and that's something that many Torah believers, as we come to a new understanding, we feel a bit superior, knowing something that the other Christian believers out there don't know. And I think that, again, makes us a little bit more susceptible to gossip. Coming to that understanding produces actually serotonin and dopamine. Because didn't we feel excited when we found something in the scriptures that taught us something new and afresh? I don't know about you, but they call it that first love. You're so excited for what we were learning. And that same sort of feeling of excitement is what's actually a chemical thing in your body called serotonin. And also, gossip is actually addictive. So, right now, I have multiple microphones that I'm hooked up to. So, I could leave this room and I could go have a chat with somebody. Oh, I can't wait to hear this. I could go have a chat with somebody in another room, but you know what? I'm still mic'd through here to the speakers.
Oh, so we could hear.
You could still hear. So I could actually go and I could have a private conversation with somebody over here, and that means that you're still going to hear. Well, guess what? Every single day, every minute of every single day, you've got a lapel mic that's actually stuck here, and all of heaven is hearing every word that comes out of your mouth. So imagine you have a lapel mic every single day. Every word that's how powerful every word that comes out of your mouth is. So the timing was perfect.
Should be on. Okay. A little red penguin is eating chips on a chair.
So could you repeat that, please?
A little red penguin is eating chips on a chair.
Okay.
I don't know which flavor chips.
All right.
Chips.
So that's actually pretty good. That's actually better than I thought it would be. The original was, the green rabbits ate chips on the ship whilst the penguin rode to shore singing, "This little light of mine is going to shine."
No, it was not.
That's where it started with.
Is that what you said? Well, he told me this hours ago.
Yes.
I remember it from 9 a.m. this morning until now.
So can I just say that you guys are really horrible at gossiping? Can we just make a decision right here and now
Not to do it.
not to gossip?
There you go.
Can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, can I just see a show of hands? How many of you have actually been part of a rumor gossip mill in a negative sense about you?
About you.
I would tell you what, 21 years ago, I'm a youth leader. I'm in line to become an associate pastor for a church. And the pastor's going to retire in 5 years, where I'll become the main pastor for this church of about 280 people. I'm on the board of directors, and it's, a nice little position. And one day, funnily enough, during Sukkot, I have a conversation with one of the youth. And as he left, he looked really upset. I was like, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Oh, I just can't believe you would say that to me." And I thought, well, like, what did you hear? Because, the next day I came to church, and everyone that I was kind of wanting to talk to treated me differently instantly. And then the next day at Sukkot, I came, and more people were treating me differently. And some would actually, I would come up and say hello, and they go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got to go." And they would just walk away from me. And within about 2 weeks, everybody in this church was just completely trying to ignore me. And I thought, well, this is, a really strange sort of thing. And I had one person out of 280, one person come to me and say, "Hey, I believe there's two sides to every story. I'd love to hear your side of the story." And I'm going, that would be great, come around. And So my message to this youth was, God loves you. God's looking after you. He's protecting you, and he's keeping you safe. Maybe it's time for you to show God a little love in return. That was my message to him. So when I asked this young person, what is it that you heard? And he said, that you said God hates him and he's going to kill him. And I'm just going, what? Like, how did you get that from that? And then the thing that really, funnily enough, the thing that hurt me the most is that 280 people heard this that knew me and thought that I actually said that. So that's how deceptive the enemy can be to absolutely destroy a work of Yah. So I know some of you raised your hands, and I know that you probably have a story of where a rumor mill has been negative for you. So let's just keep that in mind. So I think as we come to the end times, it's going to be more and more important for all the Torah-keeping groups to kind of come together and to unify. And we're going to need to be a little bit more showing of love and tolerance to one another when we do that. All right, let's get into the scriptures. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Now, I'm going to read from the New King James. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, starting in verse 1. But concerning the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I should write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in the darkness, so that the day should overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep, as others do, but let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night. Those who get drunk are drunk at night. But let us, who are of the day, be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and as a helmet the hope of salvation. For God did not appoint us to wrath, but to obtain salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Therefore, comfort each other, edify one another, just as you are also doing. So there's several things that we can take from this. First of all, something that we'll look at a little bit later on is the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. What exactly does that mean? We are not in the darkness. We are to be the sons of light, letting our light shine. Putting on the breastplate of faith, love, and righteousness. Comfort and edify one another. So I want to ask you a question. Are you ready for the return of Yeshua? Are you really ready? So I had a dream. Now, I've had many dreams in my lifetime, but there are some that I like to call pizza dreams, where if I ate too much pizza, then I have really strange dreams, and I don't think they're actually from Yah. I think they're from pizza. But I've had other dreams that I'm 100% certain are from Yah. And there's one particular dream I've had about once every year, maybe once every 2 years, and have had maybe 20 times. And it's the same reoccurring dream over and over, and I'd like to share it with you today. It's the last day of university. It's the final exam. Every single thing that we have done to date is for this one moment in time, this one final exam. And I go into the lecture hall, and instantly the lecturer looks at me with a strange look, which is fair because it was the first time I've actually attended the class. And as I'm walking to the seats, I realize I've never actually opened up the textbook once for this class. And as I sit down to take the final exam, funnily enough, I should be freaking out, but I'm at total and complete peace to take this test. So I've shared that with a few different people, and some have had the obvious reaction. Oh, that means God's saying you're not ready for the end time. You're not prepared. Other people have come out and said that it's God's way of saying that I need to store up, become a prepper, to store up and have belongings and goods ready for the end time because I'm not prepared. Yet another person said, nothing that we do in the physical is going to actually prepare us for the end times. It's all about our relationship with Yah. Different perspectives. But I want to ask the question, because I keep asking the question every time I have that dream. Are you ready? Are you ready? What does it mean that Yeshua is going to return as a thief in the night? Well, the Bible actually talks about thieves a bit. So we've got in Luke chapter 12, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. That is the correlation with Matthew 6, verse 19. It says, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. That's always a challenging one for me, because I like treasures. I like nice things. But it's a real reality and a real reality check. And I had the opportunity to meet up with a good friend yesterday. And let me tell you about Steve. Steve bought his first house when he was 21 years old. He worked as an electrician. He ended up starting his own business, paid off his mortgage, bought a bigger place, paid off his mortgage, bought a bigger place. At the age of 50, he bought his dream multi-million-dollar house. 10 employees. Life is going swimmingly for him. He's working 80 to 90 hours a week, but he's got his dream. And I had breakfast with him one day, a few years ago, and afterwards he went home to do some work, wasn't feeling very well, decided to go take some Panadol, couldn't open up the cupboard, said something's not right, wife called the ambulance, had a major stroke. 1 year later, he declares bankruptcy, his house is gone, everything is gone. He even had the license plate, West Coast Eagles 001. He had the most important license plate. And it was actually inheritance from his father-in-law. Very, very precious to him. They said, no, that's worth something, and they took that from him as well. He lost absolutely everything. So I'm chatting to him yesterday and going, funnily enough, I want to share this scripture today. It's so real that everything that we try to build up in this world can be gone like that. We're to be laying up for ourselves treasures in heaven. But what does that mean? What does it really mean to lay up treasures in heaven? Luke 12 says, but know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore, you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming and at an hour you do not expect. So, how many of you have ever had your house broken into? How many of you would have liked to have known they were coming beforehand? How would you have reacted differently? Well, the master of the house, if he knew what hour Yeshua was going to come back, how would we act differently? If we knew Yeshua was coming back in 1 year's time, how would you change this next year? It's a real sobering thing to contemplate. Matthew 24:36, but of the day and the hour no one knows, but not even the angels in heaven, but my Father alone. So I knew someone that said, well, we don't know the day or the hour, but we can know the week. And I'm just like, maybe not. Maybe we can, maybe not. Matthew 24:42 says, watch therefore, for you do not know the hour your Lord is coming. How many of you knew that the world was supposed to end on Saturday? Did any of you hear that? It was like a last. Usually, when there's an end of world prediction, it's known for like months. But this was was streaming for like 1 week.
Was that the asteroid that was
Possibly, but yeah, there was a group that was saying it was going to be the end of the world on Saturday. So I'm fortunate enough that I've survived almost 80 end of the world events. So I think that makes me pretty special personally, but you probably have survived them as well. So it's interesting because on one hand, we're told to watch, to know the times and the seasons, to be prepared, to be expectant, and to be ready for his return. But on the other hand, we're told that none of us, not even the angels, know when he's going to return. So how can we? Matthew 24:36 says, but of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so also will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away, so also will be the coming of the Son of Man. Do I have to convince anybody that we're in the end times? Is there anybody that thinks maybe we're not? So what does it mean to be eating and drinking? What is it referring to in this instance? I have my theory. I think the eating and drinking in the end time is just doing your own thing, having your own cares. But what does it mean giving in marriage? In Genesis chapter 6, I'll go ahead and read that. Genesis 6 in verse 1. Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not thrive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they were born children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thought of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping thing and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I had made them. So that term giving in marriage, there's several different theories out there, but one is that the fallen angels engaged in unnatural union with human women and created giants. And I tend to possibly agree with that as an explanation because in Job 1 and in Job 2, it also refers to the sons of God as angels. So let me ask you this question. Are we seeing unnatural marriages today? I'm just going to set aside the same-sex marriage part of it for now. It's amazing what you can find out there. There's 3 different women that have married the Eiffel Tower. And I wasn't going to read the part about the consummation rites. I don't even want to know. In 1979, there was a lady that married the Berlin Wall. In Pennsylvania, a woman recently married her favorite amusement park ride. A woman recently married a garden pot. I don't even, look, it's so disgusting and disturbing, but you just almost have to laugh because it's just. In 2007, a Chinese man married himself. In 2009, a man married a character of his favorite Nintendo game. A man recently married his pillow. In Germany, a man married a cat. There was actually a lot of guests there. In 2006, a British lady married a dolphin. A woman married a snake. Another one married a dog. And recently, a man married a goat. These are just the top ones. There's many, many more. But I think you get the point. So, look, the world is sick. People are marrying their garden pots. But what is the bride of Yeshua meant to be doing right now? What are we meant to be doing? I think what we're going to find is that as robots and artificial intelligence becomes more and more prevalent, that's going to be the next stage. People are going to be able to actually create their perfect mate. And it's going to most likely be the next thing that's going to happen. I want to go to Matthew chapter 25. So this is the parable of the wise and the foolish virgins. And I just want to highlight a few things. Then the kingdom of heaven shall be likened to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Now 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. But while the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept, all 10 of them. And at midnight a cry was heard, "Behold, the bridegroom is coming, go out and meet him." Then all those virgins arose, and they trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the wise answered, saying, "No, lest there should not be enough for us and you, but go rather to those who sell and buy for yourselves." And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. And those who were ready went in with him to the wedding, and the door was shut. Afterwards, the other virgins came along, saying, "Lord, Lord, open to us." But he answered and said, "Assuredly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming." So, there's a lot to unfold in this. And there's a lot of different people that have a lot of different viewpoints on what all these different things mean. So much of the focus, when you look at what other preachers have said about this, revolves around the oil. 5 of them had extra oil, 5 of them didn't. And the oil can represent the Holy Spirit, but yet all 10 were virgins, which is pure, undefiled. So I'm actually coming to believe that the oil isn't what it's actually about. What if it's not about the oil at all? We'll explore that. But Yeshua said to the 5 foolish, "I do not know you." And you might recall that that's also spoken in Matthew 7, where he says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, 'Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name?'" These are people who are doers, not just hearers. "And then I will declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness.'" So could it be that to be known or to not be known by the Father is whether or not we practice lawlessness? Could that be the trick? Could that be the perspective? So what is the significance of this parable? I would suggest to you that the significance isn't the actual oil, it's the light. Midnight is very, very dark. And the world is going to be very, very dark when Yeshua returns. Will I find faith when I come back, when I return? I'm going to suggest that it's not about the oil. It's actually about the light. Is our light still shining in the darkest of world, where people are marrying pot plants? Will our light still be shining? Matthew 5. Matthew 5 and verse 14 says, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works, not for you to get the glory, but for the Father in heaven to be glorified." In Isaiah chapter 60, it says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and deep darkness the people. But the Lord will arise over you, and his glory will be seen upon you. The Gentiles shall come to your light, and the kings to the brightness of your rising." And in John 9 it says, "As long as I am in the world," this is Yeshua speaking, "I am the light of the world." And in John chapter 8 it says, Yeshua says, "I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall by no means walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life." And in John chapter 12 it says, "I have come as a light into the world, that whoever believes in me should not abide in darkness." So could it be that the 5 wise virgins are actually still letting their light shine in this dark, dark world? And the 5 foolish let their light grow dim in the end time? It's just a thought. So much emphasis gets put on the oil, but we are to be a light in this dark world. That's what we are called to be. So as the world goes out there and they marry their pot plants and their dolphins and everything else, we're to be a light. We're to be an example. We're to be a reflection of Yeshua, that the Father will be glorified. Let's go back to 1 Thessalonians where we started and have a look at that again. We'll read it again, 1 Thessalonians 5. "But concerning the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I should write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, so that the day should overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and as the helmets of hope of salvation. For God did not appoint us wrath, but to obtain salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Therefore, comfort each other and edify one another, just as you also are doing. And we urge you, brethren, to recognize those who labor among you and are over you in the Lord and admonish you, and to esteem them very highly, in love for the work's sake, but be at peace among yourselves. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn those who are unruly, comfort the faint-hearted, uphold the weak, be patient with all. See that no one renders evil for evil to anyone, but also pursue what is good, both for yourselves and for all. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Jesus Christ for you. So the question I have is, are you ready? What are we to be doing at this time? I'm always encouraged when I go into a house and somebody can recognize something different about me. And I'm always encouraged when I can recognize something different about them. Do we let our light shine? Do we put our best foot forward? Sometimes I think we get so bogged down in life that we forget that we are an ambassador for the kingdom. And if you think about what an ambassador does, they are a representative of a nation. Well, we are called to be ambassadors for Yeshua. We're called to be his representative, to let our light shine. So I'm really, really excited about what's going to happen. Because no matter what darkness comes in this world, there's going to be some bright lights going on from here. But let us not get bogged down into the nitty-gritty, the day-to-day, the rumor mills and the believing this or that or worrying about this and that. Let's stay focused on what's most important. Being that example. Being that light to this world. Because we're all in a different journey. I guarantee you that there's probably nobody in here that believes everything exactly that I do. And that's exciting. I don't see that as something that should be a discouragement. We are unified in the sense that we love Yah, we love his Torah, we want to be obedient. That's what's most important. Yes, there's going to be differences amongst us. That's kind of exciting too. So, are you ready?